I wanted to try doing a 2D VTuber in my style in 7 days. Why? Why not? For the last 1.5 years, I've been toying around with this specific idea. Ever since I discovered Lavender Town's VTuber series, I think. The reason is not because I want to start streaming. I'm not charismatic enough for that, honestly. It's because I want to see if I can learn a new skill. And if it really is as hard as everyone says it is. Spoiler alert, it is! For those who don't know what a VTuber is, here's a small explanation for you that I found online.
A VTuber model, often referred to as virtual avatar, represents the designed appearance of a VTuber and uses face tracking to follow the movements of the person behind the model.
The model is often used for streaming, YouTube videos, or animations. A lot of VTubers follow a specific art style, but there's also some more stylized versions, like these. Also, if you want one of those bad boys, they are crazy expensive, since creating one of them is a lot of work. In the past, I've already illustrated some characters to animate in After Effects, which works similarly. You draw your character in about 300 layers and a million tiny pieces. I did this for a game character and it worked out pretty well. So, let's see how this will go. Enjoy! To start off, I didn't spend a super long time on designing or coming up with a super detailed backstory. The reason for that is because I don't really want to go live with this bad boy. A reference sheet with colors and a very rough concept was enough for the start. The idea was that I could use this character for smaller animations in the future, so I meshed some ideas I already had with the Sona I already had, and boom, a cooler version of my Sona was born. I imagine him working in an amusement park and hating every second of it. His name is Misha, after my first cat. This part took around 2 hours, I would say. After the concept is done, it was time to start the actual drawing process. I tried not to go too wild with the shading and kept the color palette pretty simple. I have no idea why I drew the eyes like that in the beginning. It looks like the eye emoji and I hate it. Anyway, I tried to put everything into small groups and keep each object on its own layer. Finishing the illustration took a while, I would say around 6 to 7 hours. In the end, I also added some more details to make the silhouette look more interesting. And boom, the illustration is done. To make the drawing riggable, you need to make sure each part can be moved on its own. So it's time to cut it, which sounds more extreme than it actually is. In most cases, you put the shading, line art, and base color on one layer. If you want to move the line art later, you should keep it on a separate layer. The most picked apart things are the eyes, the mouth, and the head. A lot of VTubers have tutorials on how they cut and separate, so I can only recommend taking a look at those. In general, it depends on how much movement you want. This is how my final separation looked in Photoshop. As you can see, I separated those parts that I wanted to move separately, such as the neck, the shirt, the accessories of the head, and the ears. To continue, you need a Photoshop file, which you can easily export from programs such as Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop itself. Then we can move over to the software I never used before. Mind you, I have rigged before. I'm both trained in 3D rigging, which works with bones that you put inside of your 3D model, and rigging for After Effects, which basically works by connecting parts that move together and adjusting the pivot point. But this was different. Big shout out to the great tutorial series from, I have no idea how to say your name, here's the link. Without these videos, I would have given up immediately. For rigging, most VTubers use Live 2D Cubism. This program has a free version, which has many limitations, but to start off, you can also try their free trial for 42 days, which gives you all the parameters and options you can ask for. I opened Live 2D for the first time and got so overwhelmed that I immediately closed it again. After a bit of clicking and moving things around, I slowly started to get the hang of it. Still, after day 1, I was so frustrated that I thought I would never open this program again. The reason for that is because it works a bit different than any other program I used before. Instead of setting keyframes and having a timeline like in any other program I ever used, you have parameters and deformers. Also, there's a separate physics engine which can additionally animate your character. But I would not let this setback stop me, and I tried again the next day. On day 2 of rigging, things went much better. I restarted the tutorial I was watching and began from scratch, and it went much better than the day before. After the end of the day, I had both eyes working, which felt pretty insane, and I was so proud of the progress. So blinking and iris movement were done. Plus, I also added some physics for the blinking, which is very extra, but was so much fun to do and gave me so much serotonin when it started working. Day 3 of rigging was spent by turning the head, which was a pain in the ass, and honestly the part I struggled the most with. There's still room for improvement here, but I will get to that eventually. After pushing and moving things around for 4+ hours, I decided to step back and take another look at this the next day. On day 4 of rigging, I did something I was super nervous about, which was the mouth movements. I used the glue tool for the first time, which can be used to stick 2 pieces of the model together. It is very helpful for the mouth movement, but the setup is... It doesn't make sense to me, but it works. The rig for the mouth is pretty basic, and it works with 4 main mouth shapes. I might include more details later. Because it went so well, I continued working on the model and added some physics for the very short hair, some breathing, and some corrections on the face turn. It was all coming along, and seeing the model move for the first time felt so strange because I didn't expect it to work out this well. I took one more day to add some more body movements, such as moving the legs a little bit, having the body turn when the head turns, and also fixing the breathing. I also fixed some errors on the last day before I finally tried it out. To use your model, you need additional software plus a webcam or a phone. You can use either. There are some options for tracking your face and body out there, but most people use VTube Studio, and so did I. Since I heard that the tracking on the phone works much better than the MacBook, I decided to go with that version. What you need to do first is to create a texture atlas, which cuts your model into all its separate little pieces and puts it on a sheet. Then you can export the model and load it up into VTube Studio. As you can see, the first version I made had a very tiny texture atlas, which is why the model comes out super blurry. Depending on what version you use, VTube Studio has some limitations. The PC version I tried only allowed the atlas to be super small, so make sure you check your limitations before exporting. After another export with higher res, things looked much better. Then I adjusted some settings to match my actual face movement, and things started to look much more organic. The tracking seemed to be working well, and I'm happy with how the animations turned out. I still spot some errors here and there, of course, and there is room for improvement, but for now I'd say this turned out pretty well for the first version. Of course, there's so much more I can do, such as idle animations, costume changes, and some error and bug fixes. But for those things, I think I'd like to take more time than 7 days. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and I'm glad I took the time to try something new, even though after the first day I was pretty sure I would just give up on this project. I'm so glad I didn't. This probably won't be my last model or the last adjustments I've done with this one. Live 2D offers many more options, and I want to figure out what else the program can do. My little old man advice for the end: if you're scared of trying something new because it seems hard or impossible, just give it a go. Not being perfect at something immediately after trying it for the first time doesn't mean that you're going to be bad at it. It just means that you're trying it for the first time. We should all give ourselves some grace to figure things out, because sticking around is worth it, at least most of the time. I hope this inspired you to try out a new skill, and let me know how it goes. Oh, my cat just showed up. Bye!